Hello, Oracles. Sorry for the delay. We have some hard workers here as guests today. Pejjy was doing some hard work for his company, so a little bit of a delay, hopping on a little earlier than we thought at 11:30. So hopefully that's okay for you guys. Welcome to Saturday morning. We are just going to be discussing right now. We know that there's been a lot of tension going on in the Tesla community right now. So today we're going to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about it's okay. We're going to get through this. It's going to be fine. Might be a little tougher road in the next 6 to 12 months, but guess what? It's going to be beautiful sunshine and roses on the other side. So today we are welcoming Curious Pejjy to the channel for the first time. How is it going today?
How are you guys doing? Thank you, Oracle, for bringing me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are most welcome. I've seen some of your stuff, I saw you looking at a video pushing out to 2035 and what we could potentially see for the company out there. So where do you see us going in the next 10 years? Because obviously we've been pretty tense. The price has been down, but even with the stock price being down, do you think that we are going to get through this and push past it?
Well, that's a great question. And yes, and yes. Now, I'll tell you why. Well, if we look at 10 years from now, let's say, I know everyone is saying by 2030 seems to be like the time frame to hold Tesla. I believe if you hold beyond that, you'll make a lot more wealth above that. But Tesla is simply in their early years. They're gonna do what, like almost 1.35 million vehicles this year. I mean, that's still really good. That's like almost a 45% growth, and that's with like March and April, Shanghai being shut down. So that's 100,000 vehicles delivery, not even not produced, not delivered. So if that never happened, easily they would have been at 1.5, easily like over 50% in delivery growth. But even that being said, they're still growing over 100% from 2021 to 2022. But going to 2030, I mean, just look at the 4 gigafactories that they have now and the ones coming. They're not even fully ramped up yet. Now, a lot of people are saying about demand, but that's a short-term thing. We're in a recession, we're in a bear market, and we're seeing the pinch already in China. A lot of customers are going towards the lower end of the EV. We can see BYD. I'm sure on Twitter we had that little chart that showed like, Tesla's going sideways, and then you see BYD slowly going up a bit higher, but that's because they have the lower cost. And I bet you in about 3 years' time, 4 years' time, Tesla's going to come out with a 25,000 car, and they've said it themselves that they're going to come out with, whether it's with a wheel or without a wheel, we don't know, but they're definitely going to come out with it. And there's big expectations for that, and a lot of customers do like Tesla's quality. I've seen some videos, people driving BYD vehicles, and it's not the greatest quality you can get, but it's an EV that you can get that's like affordable. And if you can get a Tesla for that price, 20,000, 25,000, then sheesh, you can only imagine what could happen by 2030.
Oh yeah.
And by 2030, they're saying that they're going to reach 20 million vehicles. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little skeptical. Maybe it'll be delayed for about a year or 2 or 3. Things don't always go according to plan, but eventually I do believe they'll hit 20 million vehicles. And if they do reach 20 million vehicles, if we could do a quick math right now, let's say they sell 20 million vehicles at $30,000 each. That's about like what, 600 billion? If I'm not, I gotta pull up the calculator for this. Let's pull up the calculator quickly. So let's say 20 million vehicles, 30,000 each. A lot of people are saying it's going to be more than 30,000 because of inflation and all, but I like to take things at a conservative route. So that's about 600 billion in revenue. Let's give it a 20% margin. I think that's conservative. That's about $120 billion in net income alone. Let's say they have shares outstanding at around 5 billion. Okay. Thinking that they're not going to do any buybacks, they're going to get to 5 billion shares outstanding, because right now it's at 3.2 billion. That brings the, I guess, EPS to like 24, if I'm not mistaken. Give it a PE of 25. Right? Let's say just the vehicles alone, we're not doing anything else. That gives a stock price of $600 per share by 2030 if they do 20 million vehicles at $30,000 each of a 20% net income. Now, $600, looking at the price now till then, that's still like a 4x just vehicles alone. Then you got the FSD, then you got the energy, then Tesla bot if that comes. So you can just imagine, how far this would go. So I say
Yeah.
by 2030, we're going to be in a whole lot better place. We're going to be, I always compare this moment to Apple back in 2007, 2008, how that thing crashed like 60%. And now if you look back at it, even the stock being down 20%, which is still a lot for Apple, you're still up 3x. And that's if you bought at the peak before it
Right.
crashed.
Oh yeah.
So in 2030, I think we're going to be really good. And anything beyond that, we're going to be even better. And that's just basics math. That's my thesis when it comes
Yeah.
to Tesla 2030.
And I'm the same way as you. I like to run conservative numbers. For 2030, I have them delivering 16.5 million vehicles because, like you, I think Elon's extremely aggressive, may not get to that number. I think they're going to get to 20 million, just may not be in 2030, maybe in like 2032, 2033.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. At that point, vehicles are going to be probably slowing down their S-curve growth. But again, like you said, we've got FSD that's tacked on top of that. We're going to have energy that's coming up on top of that. If Optimus ends up coming out, we've got that coming on top of that. And then who knows what else they're going to have in the meantime with other software and other things. Like one of the things that I thought of was, they might even get into a situation with software or FSD to have like micro transactions somewhere involved in this also, where they can just start scooping up a lot of little different, pieces of this. Maybe Twitter gets involved. Who knows what's going to happen over the next decade? But like this whole situation over the last year and potentially for the next year is like, dude, looking long term, where we all said before 2030 is going to be my bare minimum time horizon. Anything I can get for cheaper stock price now does not change that thesis. So I'm assuming what's going on right now is not changing your long term thesis at all, right?
No way. You see, right now we're trading back to what it was 2 years ago. And what has Tesla done from 2 years till now? They've grown. Like, what is it? They've delivered 500,000 in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Now we're reaching almost 1.5. Like we tripled the business, and yet the stock, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But we're in a bear market. We're in a recession. Nothing makes sense at these times.
Yeah.
And a company like Tesla, you got to be long term. I mean, anything with the stock market, yeah, you got to be long term. It doesn't, like right now, if you look at the stock market at a broader view, whether it's Microsoft, Apple, Google, Nvidia, even your lovely BYD, they're all down like at least 20%.
Yeah.
Everything's down. So there's not a single stock that's up compared to last year, not even index funds. So that should tell you something about what the whole macro environment is going through. It's a whole thing. It's not a Tesla thing. Now, if Tesla was going down and everything else was going up, I'd be concerned. But it's not. So
oh yeah. And sure, there may be some extra negative sentiment pressure put on top of it because of the Twitter thing going on. But even so, Tesla's down, 55%, for the year.
Yeah, I love it.
But it's like,
I was praying for this.
even if you said like 20% of that was Twitter, that's still 35% down for the year. So again, like you said, it's not like, Tesla is underperforming everything else. It's in line with how everything else is performing. And that's just kind of where we stand. But you look back, and like you said about Apple, if you looked back and said, hey, I wish I bought Apple back in 2007 and 2008, that's where we're at right now. Now, remember, everybody, none of this is financial advice. This is just what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I want to throw in and add on to this is that, the market right now is being driven by emotion, a big time emotion. And it's very clear to me that where the sell-off is coming from is from those guys who bought at 2020, where everything was a bull market because of the stimulus and zero interest rates and free money being handed out to everybody. Those are the types of investors who are leaving because they bought high. It was FOMO. I mean, especially for Tesla, because it went from I think it was a year ago in October or November where stock was like 600, 700, and then there was that Hertz news where they bought 100,000 or something like that, and
they had the delivery numbers that smashed the Q3, and then Hertz came out and said what they were doing, and the thing just took off.
It went to 1,200. I stopped buying Tesla stock like after that peak. I'm like, hey, this is not going to last.
Yeah,
I'm not like 1,200, but like for it to double. And like, I do want to show you guys and you this chart here. And I think if you can do a little screen share right now.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and pull that up. There we go. All right. So let's take a look at this chart. Okay. This is exactly what 2020 was. We had like that. You can say the mini drop over here, the first sell off, and then the greed, the delusion, and then denial, return to normal, and then boom. You see that big drop? That's where we are right now.
Oh yeah.
That's where we are right now. The big drop, and I'm not too sure if we're even at the despair part right now. So I am expecting more downturn a little bit.
Yeah, I think personally we're right where that dotted line crosses the red line. I think that's right before the despair line. I think that's where we're at.
Right there, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're probably like around there too. We need to. I mean, because we just saw a rally on Friday, and I like for Tesla stock for the whole market really on Friday, and I don't believe that. I think that's a bit. I think that's a bull trap in my opinion. Who knows? I might be wrong, but based on past performances and looking how recessions work, I think that's a bull trap in my opinion. I think we have more downside to go. Not too sure how low it goes. Some people are saying 140. Some people are saying 100. Some people are saying below 100. Nobody knows, but we have to go down to the despair part in order for them to slowly come back up again. Again, this is not technical. This is not financial advice. This is not technical advice. I hate technicals, but this is the cycle. Yeah, this is the cycle. This is how it usually happens. Another chart that I want to show you guys so you guys can calm down and understand what's happening is that there's a cycle of markets, of emotions. We have like excitement, thrill, we peaked, which was the peak of 2021. I think that's when it was. And then we have the drop going down and it keeps going down. And then we're not in the hopelessness part yet. I think we are getting there. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on this, Oracle?
I think, yeah, judging by how I have seen the Tesla community over on Twitter this past week, I think we're right between that desperation to hopelessness state. So I think we're somewhere between there. And I think every individual is different, but I think collectively we're probably near that panic range right there.
Right there, eh? Yeah, I'm thinking we're heading towards the hopelessness.
Yeah.
And hopelessness, I think when we have like no rallies. We had a rally on Friday, so that gave a little hope. Now, this could be here right after depression, but again, I don't think we're at depression yet. I think we still have some ways to go. But then, eventually things are gonna, slowly go back up again. Fundamentals will come back into play. And, if you're a long-term investor, you shouldn't be worried. You shouldn't be worried at all. I've been going more all in into Tesla stock than ever. I don't even know how I'm gonna buy my next pay off my next bill. Like literally, I don't know how to pay off my next bill.
Yeah.
I've just been buying
and looking up here, we've got Brad. So tempted to blow my emergency fund on Tesla stock. Now, again, not financial advice, but even as even as Karav says, always have an emergency fund. It's important,
Exactly.
as much as I say it's great to go all in. My advice all year long, and I'm going to say it as financial advice, is cash flow generation. During times like these, any sorts of cash flow you can have coming in are going to be ideal, because trying to live off of a portfolio alone right now, that's hard, really hard. This is where people who are living off of their portfolios are like starting to get to that desperation stage, starting to go into margin. Margin is extremely dangerous right now with the market that we're in, and as you said, maybe we do come down further. We have to remember, we discussed it all in the live stream last night with the ladies, is the Fed is still tightening. We're still in a quantitative tightening atmosphere for the macro environment. The market still needs to clean some of that money out. And just naturally, we may come down. So that rally we saw this week could be just that little bit of a bull rally. And, you have to mentally prepare yourself and say, look, when you invested the first time, you put this money in, and when you invested, you said, I am okay with losing all of this money. And I have faith that this money is going to become worth significantly more in Tesla stock 10 years down the road. Don't forget that thesis, because we may come down further before we come back up. But as Pejjy said, we're going to come back up.
Yeah, eventually. It may take next year, 2 years, 3 years. Nobody knows. But eventually, if you hold long enough, things do return back to normal. Fundamentals come back into play. Warren Buffett said it best. Short term, it's a voting machine. As you see, it's a voting machine out there. They're all like, guessing what the stock price would be, 140, 190. Some are saying back to all-time highs. It's a voting machine, but in the
Yeah,
long term, it's a weighing machine. You look at the fundamentals. How much are they making? What is the long-term scope? And that comes into play. So, and yeah, going back to that emergency fund, yes, you should never invest, and this is advice. You should never invest in the stock market money that you can't afford to lose. You should always
right.
expect the money you put as an investment, like flushing down the drain.
Yes.
Like you put an investment, you're not going to look at it for the next 10 years. That's it. You
Yeah.
don't have the money anymore. So that's how you guys should look at, especially for stock investing. Stock investing is a wealth generator for the long term. You will not
Yes.
make money in the short term unless you're a day trader, and even then, 80% of them don't make money. So, you know, that's what advice I could say that I guess it's decent.
Oh yeah. And here, Captain Dan, more Warren Buffett. Good morning. Warren Buffett says, buy the fear. It is time to do that. And we will be for the next 12 to 18-ish months. He's in DCA mode. Just remember, don't blink and flood sets win. And that's really it. Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And if we're hitting that desperation stage, doesn't get much more fearful than that. People get impatient. I being a personal trainer, I relate it to like holding a plank. Holding a plank for a minute sucks. You hit that 30-second stage and you're like, are we done yet? And you're like, no, you're only halfway there. It sucks. That's
Yeah,
kind of
it
where we're at
sucks.
now. We're only
Yeah.
halfway to the end of this pain. And you just have to hold it. But it's going to be worth it. It'll be worth it, but you got to push through it.
Yeah, imagine those guys who invest back in like 2001, 2007. What's the previous crash from 2001? And I don't know, the 1992, I think that was a massive crash. And
Yeah,
then
1984, I think
1987.
before that.
Yeah, and then these are normal. I mean, I think what's happening is that people got very spoiled in the 2020 massive bull market. They got really spoiled. If you saw the greed, I don't know about you, but do you go to like Yahoo Finance and you go to like those conversations? Do
No,
you
I
read
haven't seen
what people
those.
say? Oh my God, they're so hilarious. So in a bull market, everyone is like, it's gonna double by next month. By end of the weeks, it's gonna reach like another all-time high. And then in the bear market, it's the exact opposite. Oh, Tesla's down like 50%. It's going to go to zero. Yeah, the company's going to go bankrupt. So it's like you have all these like different comments. And back to 2020, if you saw the chats, it was massive greed. And as we know, when the market's greedy, you don't want to be playing with that. So you want to like just chill out, see what's happening. Things don't last. Like especially when it's just spiked up like that in 2020, things don't last like that. Even though they kept saying it was transitory, it's normal. No, this is not normal, man. You're pumping so much money, and now
Yeah.
people are coming out of their homes from their lockdowns, and they have money. They're gonna spend it on things, and um, things are gonna go up. And in Kuwait, the company that we have here, because we sell sweets and all, we felt that. We felt the massive the price rises from other countries, especially from Western countries, putting the price on us. It's like, yeah, this year we're going to increase price by 20%, and this was like in 2021, late 2021, early 2022, and we're like, why? Like, what is this? Like, yeah, we don't have enough supplies. Sorry, we have to increase prices, and we're just sitting here. We're like, oh my god, that means we got to increase prices, and this sucks. Now, the good thing about Kuwait, because I'm in Kuwait here, they do stimulus every month, regardless of the market situation.
Nice.
The government, because they make so much money off their oil, they give their citizens a monthly wage.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we're not really feeling the recession here as much as like back home in Toronto or in the West countries or other parts of the world. They're feeling it big time. But here, we're not really feeling it as much. Business is as normal. There is a slowdown going on, but it's not as much as other parts of the world because there's a stimulus every month coming, regardless of whatever's happening.
Yeah. We saw the same thing in my business, and I'm in construction retail, and our costs of goods were going up like crazy. It was every single month we were getting prices going up 12%, 15%. And it was ridiculous. And we haven't gotten them in a while. So going, back to what Elon had been saying, they're starting to see in the future that the prices of their commodities are coming down. We've been seeing the same for the construction side of things. So that's just a lot of these leading indicators. And I know the Fed looks at, trailing indicators with CPI and PPI, looking forward to all of these costs that we're seeing ourselves. And what Elon has said, I think we definitely see we start to hit that cliff of inflation and we start to go deflationary. And I think we're going to hit that, and we're going to hit those crossroads with the Fed raising interest rates. And then all of a sudden, bam, we fall off that cliff. And we may see that pivot come sooner than a lot of people think. But I don't know. I think it really depends on how long the Fed is going to be holding the interest rates versus raising more. This might be the last time they raise interest rates this time around. I don't know if they're going to raise it after this one.
In my personal opinion, I don't think it is. I know it sounds crazy. I don't think it is. And I'm referring back to what they were saying in the beginning of when they started raising interest rates. They were saying that they're willing to do anything to bring it back down to 2%. So when they said that, I'm like, oh God. And now there's a lot of rumors going around that this is the last one or the second last one. No, I don't think there's a second last one. I know Canada, they said that this is the last time they're going to do it. I fully doubt that. But yeah, I don't think unless inflation comes down a whole lot faster than, they expect, which the PPI came out yesterday. It's not coming down as fast as we're all expecting. It is coming down, but it's not what they're expecting. So I don't think this is the last one. And it's scary, you could say, if it's not the last one, because if they continue to do it, the market's going to keep going lower. It's more pain ahead. And like the chart I just showed you, depression might hit then. And I don't think they're going to stop increasing rates unless we hit the deflationary time, if I said that right. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Probably we're gonna hit that level, and they're gonna realize that we can't do this anymore, and they're gonna pivot, but they're gonna pivot harder than we expect, in my opinion. Like, okay, this time we're gonna reduce 1% or 1.5%. We go down in interest rates, and that's when we'll see a massive, violent rally in the stock market. It's gonna be a violent rally.
Oh yeah,
and I do expect that.
Yeah, and as Brad says, that's clearly stated they'd rather raise too much than not enough, because they can always just pump again. And that's exactly it. And, I try to go by what everybody says, what their words are. Elon, what they say, hey, this is what our plans are. Jerome Powell hasn't really changed what he's been saying. He just kind of changes how he says it. Sometimes he says it in a more dovish manner than the market rallies. Sometimes he says it in a more hawkish manner. But what he's been saying all along has been the same. And then he said, they're going to raise rates till this is going to be the last FOMC meeting where they raise rates, and then they're going to monitor from here. So, he's said it before himself also that, there's a lot of belief that they need to have interest rates be higher than inflation in order to push it down. He's not a firm believer in that this time around if it's coming down as it is. So seeing as we just had PPI coming in, I think expectations for CPI is 7.3. I was just looking it up. I think it's 7.3 for the expectations. So if we continue to come down on that, let's say we hit in the 6% this time around, if we hit that low 7%, moving down, interest rates are going to be near 5%. Inflation is going to be near 7%. So I think the January one's going to be a big indicator, because if we come down almost another percent in January, then maybe they don't need to raise rates, because they can say, all right, we'll wait and see what February looks like. And I think if we continue to see that, and again, the month over month is going to be important, because we're comparing now to very high inflation last year. So if month over month shows that we're coming down and we do indeed hit that deflationary point, that'll be a pivot. Otherwise, I think once inflation gets below interest rates, I think we're not going to, obviously at that point, there's no reason to raise them anymore. But exactly. It's going to be more of a waiting game, I think, at this point.
Yeah, you just got to be patient in this market. But you got to expect the worst. And the worst is they're going to continue raising rates. When's the next time they get raise rates again? Is it in late this month, or is it in January?
It's next week. Actually, this week on Wednesday.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I've got to find money somewhere to buy more Tesla stock.
Yeah, because Wednesday, and we're expecting a 50 basis point. And typically, Abhishek, one of my subscribers also, he's up in Canada. And he says, typically the U.S. follows what Canada does. And I know Canada just did a 50 basis point themselves last week. So that's kind of what we've seen all year long. And that was what was expected. They expected 50. They got 50. So we'll see if we get the 50 again for the U.S. And I have a feeling that's what we're going to get, seeing as PPI came in. I mean, it was a little higher than expectations, but still, we are coming down. We're moving in the right direction. It's just a matter of, can we continue to move that?
And you know what? I'll be completely like honest here. I don't think these interest rates really help, to be honest with you, because why was inflation up in the first place? It was up because we had a pandemic, everyone shut down their businesses, we had factories closed, we had no supply. People were no, we had no demand, which caused it to have no supply, and we had people to be forced to stay home doing nothing, and they were collecting money and saving up. Right?
Yep.
That's what's happening. And then all of a sudden, all the mandates got dissolved. People came out, they went to restaurants, they bought stuff from the grocery store, and all of a sudden the suppliers are like, oh wait, there's a market now. The stimulus that they gave like 6 months ago is now coming into play, and we don't have any supplies. We don't have the band's coming back. We don't have supplies. So what do? We gotta increase our prices. So I think over time it's gonna fix itself. I mean, we have factories. The factories that we work with, they're at full capacity right now, and they're fulfilling demand. So with them increasing interest rates, they're purposely crushing demand. And I think if they do it too much, it's going to be not a good place. Again, we're going to go to that deflationary time, if I said that right again. And the Fed has to do a massive pivot again, because the inflation is because of supply, because there was no supply and massive demand all of a sudden, and this will
Yeah.
fix itself. So
Right.
it's just the Fed wants to do it whole lot faster.
What's going on, Jay?
Hey, yo, let's go.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I thought about too, is like right now it's almost like a piñata. Like we were all excited, everybody was around the piñata. That was great during, everything rallying, and then all of a sudden that piñata exploded. Now, like, it's just a disaster, a mess everywhere, and we just need to clean that mess up. And that's kind of where we're at now, is just like all the fun stuff is all gone. We need to pick it all up and just wait for the dust to settle. And I think the biggest inflation that the Fed is concerned about right now is wage inflation. And you don't want to, and obviously inflation is coming down, so we're not concerned about a wage price spiral, but you want to make sure that doesn't happen. You don't want to see that reverse, and the Fed wants to stay on top of it to make sure that we don't get that spiral happening.
I don't think we'll have that issue, because I see a lot of layoffs going around.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing, and just kind of getting a pulse for most businesses that are out there. Like, some people are still hiring, but like at my company, we were struggling to hire. Not too much anymore. There's more people available. There's more people getting out there. So again, it's more of a waiting game. I think we just need to be patient. The dust just needs to settle. Think about whenever you see a dust storm, it takes a little while for that dust to settle. You just need to wait. And we just need to make sure that we don't stir up any more dust in the meantime. And, as Jerome Powell feels comfortable with, thinking that if they over tighten, they can then quickly ease afterwards and alleviate any other massive issues they could have from over tightening.
Yeah, exactly. And this is people, I get a lot of comments in my videos that they're saying that this is like worse than 2007, 2008. It's not. It's nowhere close to what 2008, 2007 was. There we had an actual crash that actually almost all the banks went bankrupt if it wasn't for the government to step in. We're not in that situation right now.
Problem.
Yeah, that was a big problem. We are not in that situation. We're just in a supply and demand issue that the Fed is trying to crush demand. And obviously that has consequences. So
yeah. I mean, you figure, as awesome as it was for the last 2 years, it's going to suck just as much for the next 2 years. You just have to balance it off. That's really kind of where we're at. And so, and with that, now thinking about prices, and it's something that I have been contemplating as a theory. Do you think we are going to see price cuts coming on Teslas over the next year because of all the prices coming down, with supply and demand getting back in order?
You mean like vehicles price cuts?
Vehicle prices.
Stock. Okay. Well, we're already seeing some rumors going around in China that they're like closing the plant 20%, which I think, I don't know, is that true? I don't think that's true. I haven't found any valuable sources on that yet.
The only thing I have seen for a source is from Bloomberg, saying that they're cutting hours back from 11.5-hour shifts to 9.5-hour shifts. Tesla did say that was false information. So I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen. If you guys in the comments know for sure, if you've got any clarity, I haven't seen any factual information on that, but that's what I've heard as a rumor.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard for me to believe, because why would they want to shut down 20% of their capacity where they can just lower prices?
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense to me there.
Exactly.
But We do see that China is in a recession. We do see that. I think it was a data that showed since 2008, the first time since 2008 for two consecutive months.
Yeah, October to November. Yep.
Yeah, that was that. The car sales are lower than before. But I mean, in November, Tesla did 100,000 deliveries, and that's record for them. So
yeah,
I really don't know.
Yeah,
if they have to, yes, they will reduce prices. If they have to, but I don't really think they need to. Yeah, that's a we gotta see, wait and see. In my opinion, is that because we do have BYD in China and they do have a lower affordable price compared to Teslas, most likely most consumers will be more tailored toward that because of not enough capital or whatever it is. Maybe that may force Tesla to reduce down prices. But then if they do reduce down prices, that's a big problem for other car manufacturer, because then they say,
right.
wait a minute, do I have to reduce prices? I barely make anything.
Yeah.
Am I going to take a loss? So really, it's if you're a car company and you're in a recession, you want to be Tesla.
Oh yeah, and that's what I've been saying all along is with Tesla with this pricing power, like Elon wants to come down on the prices, and if costs are going to come down, and if Project Highland is going to come out and give Tesla the ability to reduce costs of that vehicle alone even more, maybe we see the Model 3 come down. I know Lee over at Tesla Economist was discussing how by having Project Highland come out, we know that the Model 3 rear-wheel drive had been pulled off, or long range, I think, was pulled off of the ordering page here in the US.
Wow,
So,
because it's been sold that much
well, it's
or ordered
because
that much.
there was, I don't know what it was, but we know that it's not going to qualify for the EV tax credit coming up in 2023. So, if they're able to reduce the cost of that vehicle to the point where they can lower the price of it to make it qualify, worth putting it back out there again. Makes a lot of sense. So, we might actually see that coming through in 2023. And then as we go through, and like my thoughts are, we're going to probably see this lower priced vehicle coming out in 2024. I know Farzad and I had talked about it. When we saw the price cuts coming in October, we saw exactly what happened with demand over in China. They got the rumor that prices were coming down, demand shut off completely. So if they know that they're going to be having a lower priced vehicle coming out, demand for Model 3
Yeah.
definitely would come down, because I think depending on how they're going to do the lower price vehicle, whether it's going to be an actual compact, like a hatchback or whatever it's going to be, people might choose to go with that versus a Model 3. But if the Model 3 cost and of the vehicle comes down and is significantly different enough from that compact car, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's going to be $10,000 more. Maybe the compact car is $30,000, Model 3 is going to be $40,000. People will then be able to make that decision which one they want. But I think as soon as they announce that lower priced vehicle, they're going to end up having to sell off. Sorry, my kid just texted me that Morocco won, I believe. So that's pretty awesome. You guys are
That's
following
cool.
the World Cup. I was rooting for Morocco.
Wait, Morocco scored?
Morocco scored. I think they actually just won.
Oh, no way. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So if you guys are following this, I can't check it right now, but if you guys are following, if Morocco won, let us know for sure.
Oh my, props to Morocco. This World Cup has been crazy, man.
Oh yeah.
Brazil's out. I thought they're gonna win the cup.
I know. Sorry, we digress.
Sorry, yes. Sorry, go on.
So as soon as they announce that compact car coming out, I think we are going to end up seeing a demand push. So it may end up being like, hey, we're going to be releasing this lower priced vehicle. It's going to be available in 3 months, and they will have production already ready and cranked up to go to meet that demand, because we know demand is going to be significantly higher when it comes to that lower priced vehicle. So I think Tesla's going to hopefully they're going to be ready to hit the ground running with production on this.
Yeah, they should. I mean, that's one thing that I hope that's what they do, because we saw what happened with Cybertruck. They announced it many years ago, 3 years ago, and now I think hopefully they can do it mid 2023. What they're doing, I really want to see those things on the road, to be honest. But if they're gonna come up with an affordable car, say 25,000, 30,000, they better have everything ready so they don't have to wait 3 years. And I'm suspecting in 3 years we're back in a bull market, no more in a recession anymore.
Right.
It won't really matter as much then, but yeah, I mean they better do that. Yeah.
Oh, I know. And I have a feeling, and now of course, they've mentioned the robotaxi and the robotaxi as a platform. So I don't know if that is end up going to be the platform for what's going to be the Cybervan in the future, because I think the platform itself on the bottom is probably set up to be that. So like everybody's talking about this competition and how Tesla needs more vehicles. I'm like, they are coming out with them, but like competition, like we've discussed, I'm sure you've discussed it on your channel too, is why would you want to have 30 different models when you could just pick one in your category and dominate? Like Model Y, most likely going to be the best selling car in the world next year.
That's facts. Look at Apple.
Yes,
look at Apple.
Exactly.
God, I don't know why. Sorry, it just frustrates me when they go like, Tesla needs to have 30 different models to dominate. No, they don't.
No. Why? Like you know how inefficient that is? That's like, and I try to relate it, you know, and I talk about my job and the inefficiencies. You don't want to operate like Legacy Auto is severely in debt and struggling to get through right now when it comes to profitability. GM needs to sell 5.5 vehicles, including their ICE profitable vehicles, to match the same profits as Tesla selling one vehicle.
That's true.
Why would you want to go to a model that is like that when you clearly have a model that is significantly more efficient and profitable? It makes no sense.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. It doesn't make, like you said, it just doesn't make sense. It boggles my mind. And
I know.
Oh my God. Again, I mean, for GM, good luck 2030. I don't know how they're going to do it. If they do, it's a miracle.
Oh, I know. And Jim here, Tesla needs to move on the compact wide market, total addressable market, since it does not want to fall too far behind BYD in this area. If it happens, they need to get this out in production in 2024. I agree with that. But we have to go back to a comment that we had made about the Cybertruck and everybody talking about Cybertruck wasn't coming out in 2022. Of course, it's delayed again. Why are they not pushing it out? They need to have it. You got to remember, first off, the Cybertruck is going to be a higher priced vehicle. So going into a potential recessionary time, you know, yes, I think it's going to sell well, but, you know, a compact car obviously would be doing better, but you got to look at supplies. The reason they didn't push the Cybertruck out in 2022 is they wanted to have enough supplies for the Model 3 and the Model Y. Those were the more important vehicles to focus on.
Yes.
That's still going to be going forward. So if they didn't have enough supplies for the Model 3 and Model Y and they wanted to focus there, that compact car, the volume on that is going to be, you know, as Elon alluded to, that vehicle is going to sell more than all of their lineup together. So they need to make sure that they have the supplies ready to be able to meet that demand, or we're going to run into the exact same problem we had with the Model Y when we have 1 to 1.5 year lead times. And they really don't want to have that either. So I think right now we're going to get there, and BYD doing it is great. And I think it, as Elon said, competition is actually a good thing to continue the EV revolution moving forward. But I think the timing of it's going to be ideal in 2024. They'll have supplies met up. They're going to have the lithium refining up and running to be able to supply themselves internally as well with a vertical integration. You know, and as Jenna mentioned last night, it's batteries, and China's going to have that battery production, and they're going to be pumping these things out in 2024. And that's my take on it. I don't know what your take is in timing on this with supplies, but
yeah, I sooner the better, because the later this happens, the target for 20 million is becoming more and more unrealistic.
Right.
I mean, they're going to hit 20 million, but not in 2030. And as we just spoke earlier in the video, in the live stream as well. So yeah, the sooner they can do it, the faster they can reach their goal of 20 million. Now, I got a question for you, Oracle.
Yeah.
Do you think BYD is a competition to Tesla?
I do. I do think that they are, but they're, as far as I'm concerned, their competition wise is more of like, we'll call it Legacy Plus. They're like Legacy Auto Plus. They're better than the GMs and Fords of the world. I think Ford is going to be fine because they've reduced their whole footprint as it is. So I think they're going to be fine. But I would say BYD is basically the advanced version of GM. They're still going to have the same struggles as GM, but I think they're going to do fine. And being in the Chinese market, once their entire economy turns around, I think they're going to be fine. So I think BYD will be fine as competition, but it'll be good, healthy competition versus something that's actually going to be competitive to put Tesla down.
No way. No. I don't think it can. It's to that extent. I see BYD as being a competition to them in terms of scaling, because they can scale.
Yeah.
they can scale. But in terms of quality, in terms of like comparing Tesla to a BYD, no, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
It's like comparing a McDonald's uh Big Mac to a, I don't
Texas,
know,
Texas backyard
Texas.
grill, Texas
Yeah,
backyard barbecue. Yeah.
no,
There's
to an A+ steak, to a,
right.
from one of those high-end restaurant, from Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. I don't know. It's just day and night. And be sure of this: um if Tesla had the $30,000 vehicle, $25,000 vehicle already available in China, man, that chart that we saw on Twitter, that is sideways,
yeah.
and then BY, that it'll be reversed.
Right. And
It'll be
now,
reversed big time.
and now, as you said, with the quality between BYD and Tesla, when Tesla comes out with their compact car, we're going to see that happen again. We already saw that going on with competition where people are still choosing the more expensive Tesla over the less expensive other cars that are over in China. So when Tesla
Yeah.
does have this compact car, forget it. Like, I'd heard about people in Thailand had been canceling their BYD orders to get a Tesla instead. And I think we're going to see massive moves like that when we do end up getting this compact car released. I think as soon as Tesla announces it, we're going to see a lot of cancellations when it comes to BYD, NIO, XPeng, Li Auto, if they're even still around at that point. I think we're going to see a lot of cancellations and people moving over to Teslas.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, yeah, that's a valid point. That's a very, very valid point. And the thing is, yes, Tesla's what's the cheapest Tesla? Model 3 it's starting at 40,000, right? I think that's the cheapest.
I believe
one.
so, yeah.
Yeah, starting at 40,000. But you know what's funny? My friends in Canada, they switched, like they got their Tesla back in 2015, 2014, because one of their first customers. It was the Model S. And when my friend's father, when he got the car, he's just like, okay, I'm never gonna go back to a regular car. In fact, he changed his whole entire cars. He had like 3 cars, and he got a second Tesla. And then my friend also ordered the Model 3, which came out in 2018. And they're like, dude, I save on insurance, I save on gas, I save on no, annual services. There's no annual service for the car.
Yeah.
Like that's what blew my mind. I'm like, what do you mean there's no annual service? Like, there's no annual service. Like, there's no oil. I'm like, what do you mean there's no oil? I'm like, yes, it's just batteries.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but the tires. And he's like, yeah, the tires are just routine 50,000 kilometers. I'll go and get that changed. It's normal. I'm like, so you never have to go to a mechanic or to a dealership to overcharging you for changing the oil, and they look at other parts and they see you need this change too to oversell you for no reason.
Oh yeah.
It's like, no. I'm like, how much you saving? He's like, I'm saving quite thousands of dollars every month. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
So now the question from Karav here is, are you going to buy a Tesla?
Man, I would love to buy a Tesla. The problem is, I'm in Kuwait, and Kuwait, there's very little Teslas. Supercharging stations are close to none. They are increasing it, but very slowly. I actually saw a Tesla owner a few days ago. I was driving down the neighborhood and I saw the Model X in the driveway charging. And I'm like, I have to pull over and talk to this guy. So I pulled over. I had knocked at his door. He came out. And I'm just like, you have a Tesla Model X, and I want to know what the heck you're doing with it in Kuwait. And then, and he's just like, man, honestly, after trying it out, I had to order. I can't drive a regular car anymore. It's a different feeling. I'm like, but how about charging? I guess you're charging here at home, but most people who live in Kuwait, they're expats. Like, the population is around over 4 million people, but only 1 million of them, just a little bit over, is citizens. Those who are citizens, they have their own house, which they can charge no problem. But those who are living in apartments and units like I am, we don't have access to charging our cars at home. So, what was the point I was trying to get here? Oh yeah, the charging. He's like, yeah, he said the charging is increasing in Kuwait, but slowly. Okay. And another thing he added is that Teslas in Kuwait are slowly getting more popular and popular. It's going to be more of an exponential growth, as we see. It's like how we see everywhere else. But delivering and ordering is a problem, because you have to pre-order it in Dubai, and then you would have to go there and take delivery and drive all the way to Kuwait, which is I think that's what they're doing.
So that makes sense
They're
because, like here in the U.S., we go state by state. I'm in Connecticut. We're not allowed to get them here, so I have to either drive to Rhode Island or New York to get mine. So it's very similar. I don't have to drive as far, but because it's state to state here, it's a similar situation. I can't get mine in Connecticut.
Why not? There's no dealership there.
No, it's not allowed because we have
What?
we have all different laws that go state by state when it goes to dealership laws. So because they're all tied in with the legacy automotive makers,
Oh,
you have to have a dealership, and because Tesla doesn't have dealerships, they're not allowed to operate in Connecticut. We have a service center, but the second service center that they were going to put up in Connecticut, or their third one, ended up getting shot down, and they're not going to end up putting it up here because there's so much corruption when it comes to the legacy automotive makers. Drives me nuts.
come on, come on, Connecticut. Come on,
I know.
Connecticut. Come on. Get your shit together, man. Come on.
Oh, I know. So now when it comes to Kuwait, so obviously being, over there, that's like the oil hub of the world.
Oh, yeah.
What is the sentiment around the move over to Teslas there?
Whoever drives one loves it, but the government here, they're not too, because look, the main GDP of Kuwait, the only way they make their money is through oil.
Right.
100%. It's not like Dubai. If you go to Dubai or UAE, but in Dubai city, you will see Teslas every other car. You will see supercharged stations everywhere and showrooms everywhere. Like, it's extremely popular in UAE because only 10% of their total GDP comes from oil. The rest of it is tourism and some other type of business. But in Kuwait, it's 100% export, and they're not really too open to doing business outside of this. So I feel like they feel more threatened than anything. In my opinion, that's why they're not moving as fast as they are. But hey, if customers keep getting Teslas and they keep growing here, demand grows, they kind of have to do that switch. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
and it makes sense. Kuwait's almost like legacy auto. I mean, they're in a very tough situation where what they're using to earn money to survive, that is starting to go away. The demand for that is going to go away. Obviously, demand for oil is not going to go away entirely altogether, but it's going to be not for the vehicles, not the same way that it is right now. And so they're going to have to make that transition. I think this is part of the reason why Saudi Arabia made such a big investment in Lucid, was just because they see the writing on the wall. But now we see what's going on with Lucid, and who knows if they're even going to make it through. So goodness.
But no, would I buy a Tesla if I was in Toronto back home? 100%, no question asked. I took a test drive in August. Shout out to Farzad, because he said if you can get your hands on an S Plaid, do it. I'm like, all right. I got an S Plaid. I went, and my God, the experience was ridiculous.
Gosh, I just drove a Model Y long range, and now I drive a Honda CR-V base model, so there's nothing fancy whatsoever. So getting into that Model Y is like getting in a spaceship. I'm like, dude.
Oh my God.
My buddy Tony, who let me drive it, he's a cop, and he goes, just put your foot to the floor. He's like, because you don't have to worry about transmission. Don't worry about it. He's just like, put it down. And I was like, I was doing 115, and I'm like, damn, like that thing was moving. And I was like, and this is a Model Y. So I could just imagine what an S Plaid must be like.
Like, you have, like, when I first because I went to pick up the car, I only rented out for a day because, I mean, kind of wish I rented out for 2 days, but it was expensive. So I'm like, okay, 1 day's enough. And I actually made a YouTube video about it. I recorded everything.
Oh, nice.
And so I got in the car. First thing I noticed, my foot on the pedal, I let go, it starts to stop. I'm like, this is new. I'm like, what is this? And the thing is, the Tesla S Plaid it's long and wide.
Yep.
I'm not good at driving long and wide cars, no pun intended. So, but the thing had sensors, and it had a screen, like it shows all your surroundings, and it made me feel like I was driving like a Mini Cooper. Like, and the confidence I felt, and the thing is, I went to a back road, and I went from 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 60 to test it out. Like, when I did that, I thought I was gonna pass out. I felt all the blood rushing back into my head. I can see my eyes like starting to go black a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I need to stop. I don't know how it's legal. I don't know how this thing is even legal. But yeah, and it made no noise. No,
Oh, I
nobody will
know.
ever know you're going like 200 kilometers per hour. Like,
Yeah. It goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds silently.
that's the
It's
fastest car in the
absolutely
world.
bonkers how insane this is. And so when you go back to talking about, how is it legal to do that? Well, that goes to the safety. Obviously, we know that they're the safest vehicles out there. So then going to insurance, and we talked about it last night, obviously Tesla insurance coming out, that's really helping a lot of people. When I got in the VIN for my Model Y, which I have now, I'm at the cancellation point, so I'm kind of upset, but I'm not ready to take it yet.
Oh boy.
But when I had gotten the insurance numbers, the insurance is the exact same amount that I'm paying for my CRV right now. That was not the case
Wow.
a year ago. A year ago, it was almost twice the amount. That is because all of the safety scores that have come out for Teslas have now started to make their way into all of these insurance companies, realizing the cost savings, and they don't need to insure them for as much. So Tesla insurance, I think, is still way better. You get more information from it. But for states like mine that don't have Tesla insurance, the insurance companies out there are actually being relatively competitive because of Tesla's safety.
Yeah, I also love the fact how Tesla Insurance is doing it. They're doing it based on how you drive today, not how you drove like 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, get with the times, man.
Oh, I know.
See how I'm driving now.
And they're not like, oh, well, you're over 25 years old, so it's going to be less, or you're a male or a female, so we're going to change it. It's strictly on how are you as an individual, as a driver right now. That's it.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be more than that.
Yeah, I guess it made sense. Like, if you look back in like 5 years ago, it made sense then because we didn't have anything that would track your driving. Now we have Tesla that tracks everything and knows how you drive. So I guess it makes sense, and it's actually really smart, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah,
it will bring down my price. It'll bring down my prices big time. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've never had, the only issues I've had were never my fault. I had two fender benders. Like I got rear-ended twice by two different people, and it wasn't even major damage. And then I had somebody shoot my car with a gun. So
whoa, I want to hear that story.
No, it was at my brother's wedding. It was New Year's Eve, 2020. 2020, no, before then. So it was New Year's Eve, and it was a 20s themed wedding. So like we're all dressed like gangsters and things like that. And the hotel that we were staying at was right next door to the reception hall. So we're all at the wedding having a great time. Everybody's phone starts blowing up, and we're like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're fine. What is happening?" They're like, "Oh, there's a shooting right next door to you guys."
Oh God.
We're like, "All right." I was like, "We're all fine. We're good. Don't worry about us." My brother-in-law ended up going next door to see what's going on. Apparently there's a group of kids, and there were just like 2 or 3 that were just out of control. One of them mad at another, running out the back door. One of them was shooting at the other. Some kid got shot in the leg. No major injuries.
Actual guns.
Oh yeah, real guns.
Oh
real
my
actual guns.
God.
So it was a real shooting with no major injuries. But the next morning we go out, and just the angle of where my car was happened to be in the line of fire. So there were 3 bullet holes in the back of my car. Jesus. One went through the back seat, and I still have bullets in the back tailgate, and a bullet in like the seatbelt holder on the side in the passenger seat. So like when I traded my car to Tesla, Tesla's going to be getting these bullets. But so it's there. So the cops had to come out, and I got the insurance claim. It was a whole rigmarole, but man, it was so that's my story for getting bullet holes. And now I live in kind of, I wouldn't say a rough area, but it's not the best area. So I use it as street cred, so nobody bothers me.
There we go. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it's, but that's all I've had. So I've never had to do any actual insurance claims. So going over to Tesla insurance, because of all that, it'd be fine. I'd have no problems. I'd get some great insurance, because insurance companies now are nuts, because even the one I have, it's like every 6 months, they're like, "Oh, your rates are going up just because we can." Like, how about no?
That's ridiculous. I remember I was when I was 17, 18, I was running a window cleaning company, and I got they gave me a 2001 Ford, and that thing was 400,000 kilometers. Like, that thing was going places. Yeah. And insurance was charging me almost, if I converted to US dollars, almost like $300 a month.
Wow.
And I'm just like, dude, I'm just cleaning windows. What are you doing, man? It's like, no, because
it's
you're
my
18.
entire paycheck, dude.
Yeah, it's like, because you're 18 and you're driving a 2001 car, and it's 400,000 kilometers. Chances of you getting into an accident is big. And I'm just like, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh my word. That's nuts. Yeah. And I've seen that happen with a lot of people. And even with mine, my old insurance company, it kept going up and up and up. And like every time I moved like every year for 8 years in a row. And every time I moved, like one month one time I would move and they would say, oh well, you're in a rougher area, so we have to go up on your rates there. Then I would move to a safer area and like, oh well, we don't have as much data collected from that area, so we have
Yeah,
to
I know.
go
I
up
know.
on
They
your
come up with
rates.
all these nonsense things.
Yeah, every single time I moved, it was so I just stopped telling them that I moved. I was like, you know what, you guys can pound sand. I was like, I've now learned how to work your system. And then I just would change in companies. So I literally had mine cut in half just because I went back to my original insurance company and they wanted to get my business back. I'm like, you guys suck.
Yeah, no. We are blessed to have Tesla insurance. Not yet in Canada yet,
Yeah.
but as soon as that thing comes, and once I move back and I get a Tesla, no doubt.
When are you moving back?
I have no idea.
Okay.
What
And
I
that's
will.
one thing too that a lot of people don't even talk about, and I don't even know how much they're bringing in. I haven't even seen numbers on it. Money from Tesla insurance, and we know it's going to continue growing over time. But that's just another revenue stream that they're going to have. So
Oh
who
yeah,
knows how that's going to end up hitting the bottom line also, because that's almost like FSD. That's almost pure profit coming in.
yeah. That's gonna be like yeah. Tesla insurance. If everyone knows how the benefit works, because we'll have some people that go like, oh, they're gonna be tracking me how I drive. I don't want my insurance to be based like that. I mean, what good thing and a bad thing? Good thing is that you're being tracked, so you're gonna drive responsibly. Those who those guys who don't want are not fond of it, they're probably not gonna drive responsibly. So
Let me see here. We got Richard. Yes, I'm panic buying now. Saw you on Farzad's. Yes. So this is actually something. So as we were going back to what Warren Buffett
no
said.
financial advice. Yeah.
Yes. Never financial advice. But as Warren
Never
Buffett
financial
said,
advice.
be
No.
fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. So I actually worked on myself this past year to work on a mental flip, because I used to be a typical trader. I would move with the emotions as we saw in your charts, and I would do the exact same thing. Now I've reversed it, and I did exactly what you said, Richard, which is now instead of panic selling, I panic buy. When other people
Oh,
are
yeah.
panic selling, I will panic buy. And that has worked out very well for me. Now, granted, we don't know what's going to happen with the economy. So like my strategy has been dollar cost averaging a little bit, but I also put money into cash, because if we do come down further, now I've got my cash pile to dump in.
Yeah.
And when we talk about buybacks, I think that's similar to what Tesla is doing right now themselves. I would love to see a buyback. I'm not on the team of no buybacks, but I think they're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with the economy, because they want to make sure that they have themselves secure to run the business, and they don't need to do a buyback to run the business efficiently. So they're going to see, where's the economy going? What are we doing? If we get to that March, April, May timeframe, and the Fed's like, all right, we're not raising rates anymore. At that point, Tesla can say, all right, now we have a more clear picture as to what the next year is going to be like. Now we can go ahead and say, this is what we can afford to do for a buyback. What are your thoughts on the buyback situation?
I'm definitely 100% down for a buyback, because the money that they would spend on the buyback is money that they have left over. It wouldn't be money that they would be spending it to, maybe getting another factory or getting another supply chain network going on. It would be just leftovers. So definitely, I'm fine with the buyback. Now, are we going to see a buyback this year or the last month of this year? I don't know. Most likely, I don't think so, because we see a lot of Tesla investors pouncing on the table to do a buyback, but they're not budging. They're not doing anything. So I highly doubt they will do a buyback. But 2023, most likely they will do a buyback. Now, when? Perfect timing will be like, as you mentioned, they'll say they'll reverse, they'll reduce interest rates. Then Tesla will go like, I guess it's time for a buyback. And then you'll have the double whammy from the massive violent rally that might happen in 2023, plus the buyback news that's going to come out. So, but definitely a buyback in 2023. I think that's what's going to happen. Tesla even I'm not too sure if they confirmed it. I know they said it. It's on the table, but
they said they're discussing it, and they talked about it, because they said even if we get into a deeper recession, they'd still have $5 to $10 billion to be able to do one. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and honestly, Yeah, Tesla should do buybacks religiously every year, in my opinion,
Yeah,
because they're never going to be paying a dividend. They made that clear.
right.
So reward the investors by doing some buybacks. You're gonna be a cash machine like you
Oh yeah.
already are. So help us out. Apple's doing it
Oh
80
yeah.
billion every quarter.
Well, and
10,
if nothing else, you're gonna clean up that stock dilution that we get from the employee stock purchase plan. So if nothing else,
exactly.
you're just cleaning that mess up, and I have no doubt they're gonna get into that. And we'll probably
Yeah.
see it. And I don't know if you had seen the clip. Somebody had posted it on my Twitter page. Elon last night jumped on a Twitter space and said, "Hey, sorry I was late. I was on a board meeting call that was urgent." So
I did not see that.
yeah, so I do not know, and I checked the dates of it, and it was December 9th. So it was yesterday that was the call. So unless somebody happened to, do with it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yep,
All right.
Richard confirming it here. So I, again, don't know what it was about. Don't know if it had to do with buybacks. Don't know what was going on. So we can speculate all we want, which is the fun part. However, no facts that we have behind this other than he did say that. So for whatever reason, they had an urgent board meeting call that Elon had to be on yesterday. So you guys can give us your speculations in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense if it was because of getting a buyback, but then that's not really Elon's decision. That's the board's decision, right?
It's the board's decision, and
Yeah.
Elon said that himself. So unless, seeing as that's really been what's been the heavy focus lately has been that buyback discussion. So unless they discussed it and said, "Hey, we're going to make the announcement of it and say at this time next year we're going to be doing one," I don't know if that's even legally allowed to say from the SEC or if they have to actually, because I know they don't have to actually like get a shareholder approval. They can just go ahead and do it. But I don't know if they're allowed to say we are planning on doing one in 2023, just to at least appease shareholders to let us know and give us that communication. So unless that was all it was about.
Yeah.
Because I think right now, just with all of the tensions that have been building up in the community, I think it's really a lack of communication that we've been getting that is probably angering more people, even if they came
Oh
out
my
and said,
God. Don't get me started
even
with
if they
that.
came out and said, "Hey, we're discussing buybacks, but no answers yet." At least I think that would appease some people. I'm on the train of let them do their thing. I'm not going to get in their way. I'd rather them figure it out. Challenge them for sure, but let them do their thing.
What really frustrates me a little bit as like a Tesla investor is that there's so much FUD going around. Especially this past week. This past week was like a new level of FUD. Like I've
Ooh,
never seen.
yeah.
Like it wasn't as bad as 2018, 2019 and around then, but for this year, it was like Jesus. Like you had like every day there was something. 20% cuts. And then it was a new CEO, this Chinese guy. And I'm just like, what the heck is all this?
Oh,
So,
no.
but what's frustrating me is that the board or no one in Tesla is really coming out and saying that, hey guys, chill, none of this is real. We're just, I know there was a spokesman that came out, but that's not enough.
Right.
That's not enough. It's gotta come from someone who's at a higher level to say that, because a spokesman can say anything. So I'm kind of frustrated. I'm frustrated that they're not really coming out and being more vocal, saying that guys, it's just a rumor. Relax. Look at what we're doing. Look at our cash flow. Look at our revenues. Q4 is going to be great. Don't worry about it. If they could come out and clarify, and they could just reassure investors, we wouldn't be having much of a panic. But I'm not one to complain. I'm just buying as much as I could. But at the same time, calm down with the panic, man. I mean,
yeah. And even if they didn't give us information, just say, "Hey, we hear you. We hear what you're saying. We are working on it."
exactly.
And anything like that. And I think Elon, breaking his silence this week did help that.
Yes.
Coming out and kind of breaking it down, they're facing a lot of headwinds. Like we thought the supply chain headwinds were bad, but the energy issues over in Europe, which sounds like they got those 40 megapacks that are up and running in was it Liechtenstein or whatever it is.
Belgium.
Yeah. So that's a huge help. So I think that's going to help them significantly with the Europe energy situation going on. Obviously the recession that's going on over in China, I have a feeling what they're going through right now is going to be similar to what we saw here in the US during the housing market crisis. I think they're going to be facing that themselves.
Really?
But they'll come out. I think they're going to come out booming on the other side, but I think they're going to be in a bit of a rough shape for the next year or so. But Tesla is facing all of these challenges.
Yeah.
That's what they've been working on. And I think obviously the great thing that we heard from Elon was the fact that he doesn't really have to do much with Tesla anymore. So we put a lot of
Yeah.
pressure on him to do it, but like that's an awesome sign. It is awesome that the team is running without Elon. And so the rumors about Tom Zhu coming over and being, global CEO, I don't think that that's going to be the situation, but I think he's going to take over global operations for the company, and Elon will be able to not have to be as hands-on because it's already happening.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's what a lot of like it's investors and those guys on CNBC. Sorry, they keep saying that that they keep saying that Elon is not, his full attention is on Twitter, and he's leaving Tesla alone. And it's like, are you seriously naive, or are you just trying to paint a narrative that's gonna scare away investors so you can buy more at the cheap? Because prior to Twitter, he had SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company.
Yeah, it's not like Tesla was his only company.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And as you said, Elon is not needed for Tesla. He's not. The company will run nicely without him. Now, is he needed for FSD? Yeah. Is he needed for the Tesla bot that's next level? Yeah. But at the same time, he's not needed. He's not needed as much as before. And every year that goes by, it gets less and less.
Yeah, if he can focus his attention on product development, that's where he wants to be anyway, and that's perfect. And then he can, remove himself from all those meaningless or the other roles that he doesn't want to be involved in. So he can step away from that and have somebody else take care of it. I think it's perfect. I think we're getting exactly what we've wanted, but because the stock price is down, and as Richard says here, all complaints go away if the stock price is $400.
Yeah, that's true.
When the stock price was at all-time highs, like all fires happening, no big deal. Nobody cared about what was going on at those times because the stock price was high. But now it's down,
double
so we're all
next week.
Yeah. And so, that's just the situation we're in right now. It's emotional. And then you have to remember, when it comes to the actual market, and you were showing the emotions, this is what hedge funds prey on. They go out there and they're like, ooh, we have emotional swings in the market this way. We're going to exaggerate them even more to be able to take advantage of that and make more profits. And it goes in both directions. You get FOMO and they're like, this is awesome. Best thing ever. Keep on buying. And then as soon as that sentiment swings the other way, they're going to shove it down even further in the other direction. That's just how they operate.
How they play. Yep. I'm very curious to see what Warren Buffett's buying. I really I think we'll find out what's happening in February. But his latest buy was the Taiwan Semiconductor in Taiwan, TSLA, and you can see it already bottomed.
Oh, we did. Okay,
if you guys go check out the TSM stock ticker, you can see where it bottomed. That little spike, that's when Warren Buffett bought. I think it was 60 billion shares he bought. $60 billion worth he bought.
Wow.
So and that's a fantastic company to own. It's just China's the issue. But anyways, we'll get
So now, did he fully sell out of BYD? Because I had heard rumors that he'd fully sold out. I heard that he sold a good chunk of it. I'm not sure how much he had sold.
No, I think he sold 2%.
Okay. All right. So that's the last I heard was he sold a little bit of it, which everybody made a big deal, but forgetting how much money Warren Buffett invested in them. I don't think they realized how much.
Do you think Warren Buffett's gonna buy Tesla?
So based upon what Charlie Munger had said, I believe, and we discussed it last night, I think it's going to be a situation where if we get further compression on the PE for Tesla over the next 3 to 6 months, they probably will. If that PE comes down to that 20 to 25 range, which I know sounds silly low, but if we get to that point, I think that's when they would consider it to be a value play for them, and that's when they would get in.
Well, my opinion is the exact opposite. I don't think they're never going to buy, and I'll tell you why. Because Tesla's too volatile. It swings up way too up and down for someone like Warren Buffett to invest in, because he invests in like boring stocks. Like Apple is 50%. Yeah, Apple is a boring stock. Yeah, 50% of it is what they own, like Berkshire Hathaway owns. So, and it doesn't move, it doesn't swing as much as Tesla does. But if Warren Buffett does buy Tesla stock, I can guarantee you that volatility will be a whole lot less.
Well, now don't forget. So Apple, and I looked at the charts on this. They bought it in 2016. In 2013, that is when Apple got their investment grade rating. So at that point, investment grade, that's going to stabilize it also. We're going to see that with Tesla as soon as we come out of this whole situation now, they're going to be investment grade. I have no doubt Moody's is going to do this at the end of January. So we'll have investment grade. So we're going to have a lot of institutions that are already going to be coming in to the stock itself. That's going to stabilize the stock. Now, maybe it's not next year, maybe it's 3 years. So it took 3 years for that to happen before Warren Buffett decided to buy Apple. Maybe that's the same that happens with Tesla. Maybe it's going to take a few years of investment grade to get that stabilization that you're talking about with more institutions. We're right now, I don't even know the last numbers. We're probably like 30% institutional holdings for Tesla. Once we get coming out of this with investment grade, I have no doubt we'll be closer to that 80 to 85% range. Ooh. At that point, obviously that's big money that's going to come in. We'll see a nice push up in the stock price. Beta comes down to that 1.2 range versus the 2.0 range we're at now. Now we're stable. That's going to see a lot less volatility. The less volatility, it was going to bring in more investors as well to stabilize it also.
Yeah, well, that's a solid point. That's a solid point. Let's see what happens. Let's see what how Warren will surprise us. Let's see in a couple of years.
Yeah, and obviously, they're where they're at in their lives anyway. That might be his last buy. Maybe that's the last thing that they end up buying is Tesla.
Oh man, I could imagine that the day comes that when Warren buys Tesla stock, the thing will like zoom, like, because then it goes like, Warren's buying, I'm buying,
I know. Could you imagine Warren Buffett buying Tesla stock as a value play, but it grows like a growth play? That's
going to be ridiculous. That's going to be a day to see.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't wait to see if that happens. But yeah, so, so yes, this next year, I think 6 to 12 months, it's going to be rough. It's going to be the same as it's basically been this year. Just wait and see. It's just not time yet, but the time is coming. So when do you think the Cybertruck is going to have its first delivery?
I'm going to say third quarter of 23.
Okay. I'm in July. Late. So yeah. So Q3 July is when I'm saying it's going to happen.
Yeah. So I think. Yeah. So third quarter, early fourth quarter, unless they do another delay. And I swear, if they do another delay, it's gonna be so annoying.
Oh, I know. Well, did you see the picture on Twitter that somebody leaked out of the gigacasting of it?
Oh yeah. I did see that.
So
that was good news.
Yes. So good news, and obviously with Tom Zhu over in Austin right now, I'm curious if him being there, if he is going to take over global operations for the company. Obviously, they are doing very well over in Shanghai with production. So I wonder if he's kind of overseeing part of the Cybertruck production going on there, because they're going to end up having it in Shanghai also. So I just putting a lot of the pieces of these puzzles together, I think that we are going to see some massive production bumps coming out of Austin, and Cybertruck might hit the ground running faster than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to know your thoughts on this. What's the biggest risk for Tesla?
Oh, man,
in your opinion?
It used to be key man risk. Now it's not anymore. So I think the biggest risk for Tesla right now is probably 4680 ramp.
Okay.
I think if they don't get 4680s ramped as fast as they need to for the Cybertruck, and then as they switch it over to the Semi also, I think that's going to be their biggest risk right now. Obviously they're working on the materials that they need. So lithium refining sounds like they're going to be doing that themselves to alleviate that bottleneck. But I think the 4680 development is going to be the biggest biggest concern right now.
Okay. I'm thinking more towards, you said key man role is not, but I still think it is.
It is, but I don't think it's as bad as it's not as bad as it was before.
Oh, no way. It's just the FSD and the bot is what my concern is with Elon, is that's what he is there for, and how he can make it faster and more efficient. That's what Elon's task is for Tesla. That's how I see it. If something does happen to him, we could definitely see a slowdown in FSD and bot. I may be wrong. I'm not too sure, but I could see those two being at risk. But outside of this, the biggest risk I see, and it's a major event, and I hopefully, knock on wood, doesn't happen, is World War III. I really hope that does not happen, because there's a lot of tension going on in the South China Sea. And
and here, as Richard said, biggest worldwide depression. So same thing, worldwide depression or World War III. I think on the macro scale, yes, I think that those would be the biggest risks for sure. Tesla specific. And I think the one thing that Elon brings to the table that that anybody else who runs it, if it's Tom or whoever else as global operations, Elon lights that fire under them. Elon's the one who pushes them to levels. Now it's a culture. And, as we talked with Farzad before, the reason you don't want to build as many gigafactories as fast as you possibly can is you want to make sure you keep that culture. The culture is very important when it comes to Tesla. I don't think you'll lose that if Elon steps out, but you'll lose that drive to push. So like that 20 million by 2030, I don't think we would have that same type of fire without Elon.
That's true. Yeah. The culture is very important, as well as not stretching themselves too thin.
Right.
Because more gigafactories, more supplies, more supply issues. If you can't get all of them done, you'll get none of them done. So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so while I thought maybe we could see 5 more gigafactories in the next 3 years, getting the supplies and then getting the people, hiring is still a problem. We saw that happening in Berlin. They couldn't hire as many people as they needed to run the factory for a third shift. So just these few things coming up, I think are going to be the near-term bottlenecks. But yeah, the risk with Elon driving the product development, I think that's going to be the big piece. And I think that's where he wants to stick. So getting 4680, getting FSD, getting Optimus going, that's still vital for him. So yeah, I think the next 2025 for me, still in my gut, is that massive pivotal year for Tesla. I think that's the next year we see a potential stock split. We're going to see the robotaxis on the road.
Another stock split next year.
So 2025, not 2024. 2025.
2025. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I agree with you there. I think we probably could see a stock split then too, if we're back in a bull market, which most likely
right. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that needs to come in. Obviously, we need to have the macro turnaround. Cybertruck needs to hit the ground. We need 4680s. We need the compact car has to be on the road. We will not see a stock split without that on the road. So,
and hopefully by then the war will be over in Ukraine, because I feel like that's always going to be like the elephant in the room. You could say it's like, okay, everything's going well, but you're still here. Like, come on, wrap it up.
Oh, I know. It's so funny. You pay attention to the news, and it's like obviously it's still going on. But why is it not as prevalent in the news as it was before?
Yeah, that's
like it boggles
I remember.
mind.
Oh man,
it just shows how much the sentiment can swing when it comes to things like that. I don't know.
Like, I'll tell you this. I read a quote the other day. I don't know who it was. It was online. I think it was Andrew Tate. If you know Andrew Tate, he's over TikTok. Yeah, he said like, "Who cured COVID?" And the reporter's like, I don't know, vaccine companies. He's like, no, Putin did. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so true.
Yep. And
just like that.
Yeah. Seriously. And that's exactly how it went. And who ended the Ukraine-Russia war? The US elections. I mean, seriously, like,
I don't know. Like it's, but I'm not gonna lie. When that war started in February, I was very anxious. I'm just like, oh, come on. Oh, come on. Like, like I was like watching the news every day. Like, what's going to happen? Is World War III should I go make a shelter? Should I go back to Canada? What should I do?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It was a scary time, but hopefully by 2025, 2026, there's some sort of end to it, because
and if
we know the next,
if we can go a couple of years without some black swan events, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing. That'd be really amazing.
Oh, yeah. And then, Richard here, Tesla Semis, that hidden profit center and cost savings for internal business purposes for Tesla. That's something Farzad and I talked about also, because he ran some logistics over there. It's like, you don't understand how much you're going to be saving. So if companies can save significant amounts with, using a Tesla Semi, if Tesla's using their own Semi, that's massive cost savings. And that's, I think, a big piece that a lot of people aren't grasping when it comes to numbers. You can easily see and estimate delivery numbers, and then, average sales price. So you can see top line revenues. But when it comes to the actual cost savings because of their efficiencies and how much more they can still become efficient, that's something a lot of people miss.
Yeah, no, that's true. And honestly, if you just add on FSD on top of that, it's just a whole new level of savings, because you don't have to pay truckers anymore. I mean, it sucks. I mean, kind of sucks, but I mean, I don't know. I think if you get to pay, like, what is it? By then, I think by 2025, 2026, I think FSD is going to be like almost ready to, I mean, it'll be much more safer. I mean, it already is safer than humans at this point. At that point, hopefully there's some regulation accepted. So by then, if trucks can use FSD without being unmanned, that's a massive savings for the companies. Again,
Yeah.
bad for the truckers, but I mean,
Right.
more efficient for the companies.
I mean, but that's what we've seen with disruptive technologies. It happens. And it's not that. And one of the misconceptions is that people are like, oh, these people are going to lose their jobs. That specific job, yes, but new jobs are going to open. And historically, you always see more jobs get opened up with that disruptive technology.
Yes.
So there's actually more
Yes.
job openings. So it does sting for those people who are in that business. But as we go forward, and you have to look forward, it's going to have and present more opportunity for more people in the future.
Yeah, and that's evolution, right? Like we saw with the internet, we saw with what was it before there was something before the internet that was like um well, internet was a big one. And then I
Yeah.
remember Uber coming out, Lyft coming out, and all the
Yeah.
taxi drivers were angry. But then last time I went in an Uber, it was a taxi driver. He's like, yeah, thank God for Uber and Lyft because now I make triple the amount. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so why are you guys rioting then? So why were you guys on the streets and rioting?
Yeah, people don't like change. That's all it is. They don't like change. And so somebody comes in and they're like, oh, now I have to do something new. And of course, these taxi drivers are like, oh, it's actually not anything new. I'm doing the same exact thing, but getting paid more.
Exactly.
It worked out
Like
great for them.
Jesus. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
same story with DoorDash and I feel like if FSD, if you could use FSD, I'm not too sure if this has actually become reality or not. Where you have a Tesla, you have full self-driving, it's fully regulated, you can use it, and you can use that as like an Uber or Lyft.
Yep.
The robotaxi, that's what's it called. Yeah, robotaxi. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure if that's actually going to happen or not. I never put it in my model because I have no idea if that's
Right.
going to happen or not. And if that's going to happen, is Tesla going to keep it for themselves? Because people can overuse them, and
Right.
anything could happen.
And that was my thought too, is like, that's what I'd love to do. I'd love to have my Teslas and just, hey, while I'm not doing anything, let them run out there and do my own
That'd
fleet.
be amazing.
I just don't know if, like you said, if Tesla's going to keep it for their own fleet, or you actually have to have a fleet company to do it with, and you can't just be like a homeowner and have 4 Teslas and let them run out. I don't know if that's going to be allowed.
I mean, that's going to be bad for everyone, because if that's the case, everyone's going to buy Teslas, and then you're not going to work anymore. And
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, and then you got the robots coming in, and then no more humans.
right. But I think what will end up happening is they'll end up having some sort of licensing fees. So you can say, or FSD is going to be so expensive that in order to actually do it as a fleet, it's like $100,000 a year per vehicle to do it. And that would really deter a lot of homeowners. But that's where you would have the bigger companies. So when you have, like the yellow cab companies out there, they would then just convert their entire taxi fleet over to Ubers or Teslas and robo taxis. And that's how they would operate. That's my vision. But same as you, I don't put any of that into my model just because there's so much uncertainty in that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was also it was Ron Barron. He said that by 2030 he's expecting a $4.5 trillion valuation, just cars.
Right.
And that's a PE of 15.
Yes.
That's
PE
crazy.
15. And that's, putting those numbers together, that was what Elon said. That's the same price as Apple and Saudi Aramco combined, again, without cars. That's not FSD. That's not robotaxis. That's not going to be energy. That's not Optimus. So again, all these extra pieces of the puzzle to put on top of just that is mind-boggling. So yes. So to wrap it up, because we've been on for almost an hour and a half, so we'll wrap it up here. Just your reminder, folks, going forward, these times are difficult. I said it last night, and I say to all my clients that I train, embrace the suck, because the suck that you're going to go through now is going to be totally worth it in the future. So embrace it now. We're going to get through this. We have very shiny things ahead of us. We just need to get through some dark times and storms right now. So make sure you follow Pejjy on his channel. I'm going to put that link down in the pinned comment below after we are done here. Anything else you want to add to today?
Yeah, just to add on to what you said, this is normal. Again, I keep saying this is normal. A lot of people are saying it's not normal. Most likely, if you're saying it's not normal, it's your first bear market. I'm just going to say it out there. This happens. It's happened. If you look at the 100-year chart of the total stock market, it happens. We get lost decades like we had from 2000 to 2010, where if you invested from 2000 to 2010, you made no money. But then the year after that and the year after that, you made tons and tons of money, because if you were DCing in those 10 years, you would have been well off. But just look at history. Just, go to S&P 500 chart and look at the 100-year history, and just study the downturns and read why there was a downturn here, and then you'll be more confident. You'll have more of less panic mode, I guess you could say, and you would, I guess, see more opportunities than throwing in the towel.
Yep.
That's the best thing.
Fortunes are born during bear markets. These are the times that people will make their fortunes. Historically, that's how it's gone. That's where we're going.
Facts.
1977 Sith Lord 1, you guys gel perfectly. More collaboration videos. Absolutely. So we tried to do a multicast today. We were talking about it beforehand. Neither of us were able to figure it out. Maybe Farzad can help us in the future. We'll get it going.
Maybe we could do us three with Farzad.
Yes. Oh yeah. We'll definitely get Farzad on here too.
That'd be awesome.
So I will be on, I'm definitely going to be on Pejjy's channel. Also, we'll do a live stream there. We will try to figure out how to do a multicast and a multi-stream out there for all of you guys. This was awesome, Pejjy. Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
You are most welcome.
I love what you do.
Thank you. And we will see you guys all later.